Howdy, folks. Woodrow Walls from NeedCoffee.com here. Back again for another Wayhomer review. Here's how it works for the uninitiated. I have just left the cinema where I have seen a film. It's opening day, and I'm going to tell you about that film on my way home. And today, we're here to talk about, where is it? G.I. Joe Retaliation. I don't even have to do the thing. I'm wearing the glasses. That's right. Because they got the logo on them, I don't need to recycle them because they're supposed to be collector's items, right? And who knows? It might be worth something someday. Alright, so, first, there's my real glasses. That's much better. First, synopsis. So, the deal is this. After Rise of Cobra, a plan was put into place where the president, played by Jonathan Pryce, because whenever you can get Jonathan Pryce, you should, has been, his role has been assumed by Zartan, the Master of Disguise. And this is part of a plan to take out the G.I. Joe team and to pave the way, because without the G.I. Joes, of course, there's no one in the entire world who can stand in the way of Cobra and their world domination schemes, except for the fact that, of course, that you've got, you know, certain members of Cobra High Command in deep freeze, and that they need to be rescued, and there's all these machinations that take place. But basically, Cobra is going to step up and try to take control of the world, because that's what Cobra does. And in the wake of the G.I. Joe team being completely wiped out, the few remaining members, which is The Rock and Lady J and Flint, who is sort of just there to give us another guy, and Bruce Willis, essentially playing Bruce Willis, and oh yeah, and the Stig, dressed like me. That's basically the G.I. Joe team that's left, and they've got to step up and save the day. There's your synopsis. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll admit something to you. I never saw the first film. I really had no desire to do so, and I mean, at the time, I think that was, what? When did that come out? Was I even doing these? I don't even know. I don't think so. So I had no desire to see it. It just looked phenomenally silly. Now, when they put the trailer out for this film, I was like, well, apart from the fact that, you know, the trailer did the whole thing of, we're all that's left, and now we've got to step up and save the day, which I was like, okay, that's been used so many times, you know, like even in Ghost Protocol, it was like, oh well, you know, we've been denied, we've been, you know, cast out, and now we must step up and save the world that is now spurning us and all that stuff. But the trailer, I was like, okay. Now, partly, I admit, I was probably taken in by the fact that it's got, you know, the original one had that Seven Nation Army remix by Glitch Mob, which was really freaking cool. But I was like, this doesn't look bad. Then, in a move that just made everybody go, I'm sorry, what? They build up all this hype for the film, and they pull it back so they could alter it for 3D, right? Convert it to 3D. And I had heard change the storyline, but I frankly can't tell what's different from the trailer. I mean, it looks like the storyline that was suggested in the original trailer. So I have no idea what that could have entailed. But anyway, so yeah, they blew everybody's mind by taking a film that, you know, people were actually going, oh, it looks like it might be fun. And then killing all the momentum for it by, you know, converting it. So that was weird. Very weird. So now the film comes out, and, well, here's the thing. Let's talk about the the good / frustrating bits first, shall we? Two basic things that I enjoyed. I know, you're thinking two, there was a lot of things going on. There's like two, okay? One is the fact that, you know how I complain in these things about the fact that nobody knows how to edit together a fight sequence? And you've got all this crazy jumping cameras and cuts that basically mean that you have no idea who just punched whom, and you can barely tell who's fighting, and you just get completely lost. I will say this. Huge credit to this film, because if you want to cut together a fight sequence that's still got that kind of hyperkinetic feel, and yet you know what's happening, then you need to watch this film for tips. Because, yes, you still had all the crazy cuts and the different angles and stuff, but it was done, it was like somebody actually planned it. And it was like somebody actually had respect for the fight choreography that went into it. And the fights were good. I mean, I don't know if, Ray Park probably did his own stuff, but I have no idea who else was involved. I hardly ever look anything up before I get into the car. But as I was going to tinkle, because you do that after a film, at least I do, I have a bladder the size of a walnut, I tried to look up and see if I could find out who did the fight choreography, and I couldn't find it anywhere in the tinkle time I had allotted. So anyway, but that was good. The fight sequences were good. Oddly enough, I actually enjoyed the 3D. Now, would I tell you to spend the extra money and get your collectible 3D glasses? Probably not. But the fact that I was there, I didn't mind it half so much as, 90% of the films that I see in 3D, so I can warn you away from them. So I wouldn't warn you towards this necessarily, but I'm like, you know what? This was, for a conversion, this is probably the best conversion that I've seen. Especially that it was like, an afterthought of, oh, we're 6 weeks out from opening or whatever it was. Let's make it a 3D film so we can appeal more to overseas markets, right? Who eat that stuff up? I mean, it's crazy. So, anyway, so that, surprisingly good, okay? The problem is almost everything else, okay? And I don't really have a problem with the acting, okay? But that almost doesn't enter into it. Because, I mean, it's a big, supposedly blow stuff up, punch things, shoot things sort of film. So, I mean, you, apart from a little bit of banter, which is well handled at the beginning, and then increasingly as they have character moments throughout the film, it sort of brings everything to a screeching, painful halt. Apart from that, you could have had anybody in any of these roles. It's basically for, visual appeal. We know that we like Dwayne Johnson. I mean, I like Dwayne Johnson. Who doesn't like Dwayne Johnson? He seems like a nice guy. You want him to punch things and blow stuff up because he has that way about him. And you want him to be successful in his punching things and blowing stuff up. Bruce Willis. Who doesn't like Bruce Willis? Who doesn't like Bruce Willis firing automatic weapons? So you had people put into the roles who you would look at and you would instantly like. But beyond that, there's really not much for them to do. They try. They're handed some, really, subpar character moments, but beyond that, there's really not much there. And, I mean, honestly, the film is so silly. If you are my age, right, and you grew up and you played with the G.I. Joe action figures, not dolls, action figures. If you played with them, okay, then you might have done that crazy thing where you came up with some crazy storyline, right? And this is the one where the G.I. Joes, fight alongside the Masters of the Universe, and you've got, tanks inside Castle Grayskull, and maybe you threw some, Transformers in there as well, maybe even some GoBots if you were a little crazy, alright? They're all fighting Skeletor and Cobra Commander, and, I don't know, maybe you even had some Smurfs in there too, so they could get shot. I mean, whatever storyline you came up with at that time is probably less silly than this. And partly that's because you have huge leaps in just stuff, right? It's like you go from, I don't want to give away what little there is to give away in the film, but there is a situation that is a threat. There's something out there that could be a potential threat. We leave one scene with it being a potential threat. We cut to the next scene where not only is it's gone from potential to active threat, the terrorists have control of it, and the G.I. Joes have to go in and extract it. When suddenly it went from, oh, we're going to go in and take control of it, to, oh, well, in the space of however many hours it took for us to, ramp up the G.I. Joes and get them on a plane, the terrorists have taken control of it. It seems like a huge leap. And then you move forward to the next scene, and it looks like the implication is all these various terrorist groups have grabbed these things, and the G.I. Joes have been running around basically grabbing them back from terrorist groups. Which would have made a lot of sense in the animated series, right? Where you had laser rifles and giant tube worms. But in this, it's like, whoa, when did this happen? Right? Characters appear, and it's like, I don't know. It's like they're characters that appeared, and they treated them like they've always been there, when I know for a fact they weren't in the first film, right? And I know for a fact they weren't important in the first film anyway, because in the really ham-handed, let's catch you up to speed on the G.I. Joe universe intro thing, which was like the information cards from the back of the boxes, but like taken way too seriously. You just have these people just dropped into the story, like, okay, well, don't act like they've always been there, or don't introduce them with like one line and expect me to go, why the hell, who are you? Wait, why are you suddenly in this group? What is happening? So it's very, I don't know, spotty and very silly and sort of pointless. I mean, it's not pointless. It's from the standpoint of, hell, even Battleship made money, and it was ass. So it's going to make a lot of money, and I would say if you have any interest in seeing this, or even just good action sequences in general, like, who doesn't like to see Ray Park punch things? It's like, a given. It's like breathing. Ray Park punching things, liking that is like breathing. Regardless, if you must go, don't necessarily get the 3D, make sure you see a matinee, whatever, if you have to, okay? If you don't have to, don't. But, if you do want to see it, though, because there are the good fight sequences, then what I would say is, wait, get it from Netflix, skip to the scenes in which there's punching and shooting, and then mostly punching, because even the shooting was kind of meh. Then turn around and send it back, or if you're streaming it, whatever. Just get it done, get it over with, get it out of your system, and move on with your life. It's a shame. Now, and I will say, if this is the same film that was going to come out before, right? If they didn't retool it a lot, then I will say that you also need to look at, if you've got a crap movie, then you need to look at how they cut the trailer together, because the trailer was actually rather exciting. In fact, I would say, watch the trailer, watch the fight sequences, and then if you still need more G.I. Joe, go watch the original miniseries. Yes, the one with the mass device, because that's better than this. There you go. And I'm frustrated, because this, you had the opportunity to have a really good reboot to a franchise, and actually, I don't know, have a decent film based on a Hasbro character, which I don't think we've had yet. Now, I know it's not Battleship, and I know it's not Transformers, so Anyway, there you go. Cup-wise. I'm thinking I was going to give it a 1 cup out of 5, but I honestly was so impressed with the fight sequences, including one where you're punching with pistols. It'll make sense when you see it. For the fight sequences, an additional half a cup, so we're going with a cup and a half out of 5. And, rent it and skip around. So there you go. Anyway, I hope that you find that somewhat meaningful and informational, informative? Yes. Yes, if you enjoy these things, please share them on Facebook, post it on Pinterest, share it on Twitter, whatever it is you do. Staple it to the side of a house. I don't know. Social media these days, you kids, I have no idea. And as always, if you do enjoy these things and you want to help out and put some money in the till, because that helps with a $13 ticket for a 3D matinee. Holy crap. If you want to help out with that, then you can go to needcoffee.com/support and throw some change at us, and we would certainly appreciate it. So there you go. Until next time, this is Wizwall saying bye.